Hello. To follow our post this evening, I'm going to be sharing my first look into Wolverhampton city centre and where it's currently at on a Tuesday afternoon. As you can see, I've parked in Sainsbury's because it's 4 hours for free. When we look at a lot of car parks in the Wolverhampton city centre, they will be empty. And I don't disagree with having to charge for a car park, but I'm happy to pay parking if I'm going into a city centre that is thriving. I'm just going to highlight Carlsberg and Marston's because I do believe they've either left or they're leaving that huge building, which now is going to sit completely empty. So the reason I'm doing this is when I've told people about this campaign, they've said to me, do you know what, I haven't even been to Wolverhampton for years, I wouldn't even know what it's like. So that just shows a lot of faith was lost a long time ago. Let's just touch on this one real quick. This car park here, city centre car park, completely empty. This road closure has massively affected all of these companies with no assistance to our knowledge and no end dates when this will all be completed. Again, Fold Street car park. I had an office in city centre and I left for the same reason as paying, I'm not even sure what it is now, every day. People just can't afford that, businesses can't afford that. So until we get this back up and running, why don't we ease up on these charges, and then when the city's thriving again, people will be more than happy to pay. So if you're parking here for one day's work, you're paying £9. Add that up. I can't even remember when all this started. But does anybody know where this is? Because I have absolutely no clue. Brewer's Yard sounds incredible. Not sure where these are either. Bringing more opportunities. Yes, I can confirm that this has been done and it is a great addition and it was very much needed. All we want is when we say we're going to be doing things, we do them. 1 billion. Imagine what we could just do with 10 million. It's been here that long now, it's just being used for graffiti. And I can't hear any building works going on behind. Absolute ghost town. Closed, 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 closed. This is what drives me crazy about the strategy of building new properties. You'll see in this video how many buildings there are full of character that don't need starting from again and that can just be literally restored. The beloved Beatties, closed for however many years, and I believe the building was purchased, plans to put shops, apartments, but the company realise that they have no way of making any money. So it now goes back to being completely empty, soulless. And over to here, this was my last venue. Now been taken over by some very good operators. I wish them all the best. Those starting shows in November. Please support. It doesn't only fill these venues, it fills the bars around it because they need it. Coming into this particular section here, I'm sure many of you have seen the pictures of what this was supposed to look like. But again, for every one open shop, there's 5 to 6 at least that are closed. This was supposed to be an area that was going to be redeveloped. Again, I don't know if you can see that far, but over 50% of that whole strip shutters down. I think there's a picture up here of what this was supposed to look like. Here is the recently transformed Victoria Street after it was closed for 2 years to develop a pedestrianised walkway, but unfortunately again caused shops, cafes to close. This street has probably the biggest potential of having a lot more of these eateries, cafes, bars, but this can't just happen one by one, in my opinion. This has to happen as one big motion. But again, very empty. It's now lunchtime in the city centre. What a cool little space that, with a bit of vision and not all the money in the world, could create something really cool. Empty car parks right at the Manda as well. So for those of you who don't know, the larger project that we visited got scaled down to a smaller street food event space, which to my knowledge we've got plenty of those in the city, but we'd been granted, I believe, £6 million. We're supposed to be completed this year. Nope. The one building you can pretty much see from outside of Wolverhampton hasn't had a penny on it, I believe is pretty much empty, along with upstairs car park. Hundreds of spaces available. Back in the day you used to queue up to park here. Frasers and flannels, keeping the high-end fashion alive. But again, from a lunchtime, there's not very many people in here at all. Another mainstream body care closed, along with more shops up there. Again, just taking the top of Victoria Street to the square. Closed, prominent shop. Slug, done a good job. And opening. Live music, real ale, good atmosphere. This is exactly what we want. We need more of this going into the city centre. We need 6, 7, 8. Busy makes busy. This is not busy enough for in the daytime for a city centre. If you look at the architecture and how we could utilise these buildings, we could create something very, very special. I believe Lloyds Bank are now leaving. These shops have been vacant for years. I mean, again, Lichfield Street, half the shops are closed. And if you notice, all the shops are very sporadic. There's no regions for certain types of shops. We don't have a designer district. We don't have a pub, bar, restaurant district. We don't have a district for children. There is so much potential in this city centre. I believe there was plans to have all this pedestrianised and have gardens a few years ago. The art gallery. Again. Charlie's still going. This was my first bar in Wolverhampton. Beautiful bank building. Absolutely beautiful inside. Live music. We need more of these. Oh, here we go. This is all great in my opinion. However, if we don't have the shops, the bars, the restaurants, why don't we look at this afterwards, after we've got the city centre thriving again? Let's worry about bike paths and transport once there's enough in this city centre for people to come. Another huge bar left empty on the corner. Beautiful architecture. Why aren't we getting these buildings back to how they were? This could be a whole number of things: apartments, hotel, fancy restaurant. Another thing I've noticed is a lot of the hospitality, pubs, bars, don't even open till Wednesday and Thursday, because they have no passing trade. Every other city centre, to my knowledge, has a thriving town 7 days a week. That's why people pay more business rates. They pay more money to be in a city centre and have access to more clients. I mean, what an unbelievable place that could be. These places have been available to rent for a long time. The old JJB, I believe, has been up for rent for 7 to 8 years. Again, major city centres, spaces like this go in a day, but it's becoming more and more difficult to fill these shops. Main High Street, I'm sorry, nowhere near busy enough for what it should be. the Great Bar. Boots. We could be at fear of losing.